So hi Jason, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. It was like, oh my gosh. You have no idea how I look like this morning. The post-debate look. I tried to post it on my Google Plus, but I actually deleted it because it's like,
I didn't get a lot of sleep between staying up late, watching a second debate or listening to the second debate, listening to the recaps, and trying to follow candidates on Twitter, see what they were talking about, and of course seeing how Hillary was trying to fire back at the way she was poked at. It was a long night.
It was a long night, and the tweets are like coming in like at 3 until 3 a.m. and I was like, okay, I was totally like.
Trump was tweeting for a long time.
Oh yeah. Did you read some of his tweets?
I did. I read a lot of them. I had a couple of them up here, and I have to say they are. Some of them are entertaining. What really
some of them are pretty vicious, don't you think?
Some of them are. He's not made a ton of friends. But I think the important thing is that he struck a nerve with people last night. A lot of people watched the debate last night and made decisions, or started to make decisions.
Yeah.
And that's a huge win, because if you want to get people to change the world and change the position this country's in, you need to get people to the polls. And I think the amount of people who watched television last night, and this is the first debate. You had 10 people on stage last night.
Right.
And we're just talking about the second debate. We're not talking about the first debate of 5, which I think there was a clear-cut winner there, which we could talk about here in a minute.
Right.
But the second debate was extremely dynamic. I think there were some folks that clearly stepped up their game.
Right.
There was one or two that I don't think were really given the opportunity to really shine. I think they were given a great opportunity. But at the end of the day, I also think there was some, I think the common message is this, is everybody on that stage last night, on both stages, made it extremely clear that we are not happy with the current Washington establishment. The Obama administration has not done their job, and Hillary, or for that matter, anybody else who's going to run on that side of, well, I like to say that side of the House. I'm not referring to the House of Representatives here. We are not happy with that, and there has been a lot of complacency that was disrupted last night, and there were some shared visions. Now, everybody may have a different way of delivering the same message, but at the end of the day, there were 10 people on stage last night in the second debate who clearly were unified in one thing, is that things are bad. Yeah,
they really understand that the direction of where the country is heading and the world. They understand that, and I think, no matter how different they are, how effective they presented themselves, there's the understanding that it's a collective understanding of what's happening, in the world or in our country. And so I think that's a great thing. It's a great start, I think. So
it's a move. It's a movement.
Yes.
And this is how movements get started. Sorry, I just launched my phone. Between following up on Twitter and what's going on here, later on here in a little bit, there's actually some news about prison sentences.
That's the second.
Jeez, are you kidding?
I think,
Maybe we'll just focus on what we can handle today.
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, before we continue about this exciting debate that has really gotten a lot of viewers last night, I want to talk about our format, because I have received some comments or feedback, which I really appreciate you guys giving us feedback, and I have great respect for my mentors and my peers and my colleagues in the educational community. I think there's an expectation from you and I, with our background in education, that when we come into a format like this, like what we're using, they expect that we it's kind of like when you are attending an academic conference, but we don't do that. We don't come here as experts, and we don't use the academic language. We want to entice and engage the community from all walks of life. And people from everywhere, different cultures, different backgrounds, religion, education, economic status. We want to connect with everyone, and we come here as unprepared, unscripted. We never forget, who we are and what we're our responsibilities as educators. And I think that's I want to explain a little bit of how our format is.
And I think it's important to state also, because you're right, this is unscripted.
Right.
These are our views.
Right.
These have nothing to do with our establishments of employment and discussions that are even had at the dinner table. We're in a coffee shop, so I've got a couple of gentlemen over here in front of me who may have similar views to me or could be completely different. A few over here to my right. And I was fortunate enough to have a very candid online discussion about some of my views earlier in the week with somebody from China. And they were actually calling some of my views fascist. You know, it's fine, you're entitled to that.
Right.
But I think we had a very candid discussion about that person's views and my views. And in all fairness, they made some great points. My points, I think, are going to be a little different just based on geography as somebody who's being here and getting a tan when the lights come on like that. But having an unscripted, uncandid conversation about important issues, whether it be the world of politics, global warming, international policy. There's so many things that are going on right now. They all build a foundation for what's going to be going on tomorrow. And some of those things are certainly more important than others. And at the end of the day, I welcome anybody to come in here and have a conversation with us, have a cup of coffee, and tell us where your head's at. Because in a lot of places, you are not encouraged to have that open discussion, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be based on religion. Sitting here today, we're coming up on 1 year that Michael Brown was shot and killed in Ferguson, Missouri, which is about 2 hours down the street from where we're sitting. There's some people that have different views on that, different races. Conversations I'd love to have. Being from the St. Louis suburbs, I get it. So please join us.
And I think this is a great start actually. And there's some people that are already wanting to join us. Like probably next week, there are people from the University of Missouri that will join us. So I think, and also your online discussion, and also people giving feedback. So we really appreciate that. And so I'm really excited. We were just going to continue what we started, our format and the way we are engaging the different communities out there. We're going to keep going. And
I'm excited. I look forward to this every week.
Right.
Because there's so much that happens over the course of the week. I'll tell you, there's so much has happened in the past 20 hours. That's really, I've been excited about having this conversation with you, and I get up first thing in the morning and I'm emailing Merge, hey, did you watch last night? And I'm getting these notes back.
Yeah, you already know, like, oh yeah, it's pretty exciting, political engagement. I think it's so important that we engage, in this kind of conversation, no matter, even, I know people don't have time, they're busy on their lives, families, but when we have debates like this, I mean, these are not everyday, event in our communities, in our society, in our country, and even the world. They're watching this kind of conversation, and I think it's so important that we chip in or we join, so.
Last night, my 9-year-old was listening to some of the debate with me, and
9 years old?
9 years old.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind, I live in a rural community, so I'm really limited as to what kind of television I can get. So I was actually streaming the debate's audio through a Fox radio, through the stereo system in the house, which means through the entire house, you got to listen to the debate.
Right.
And the 9-year-old comes downstairs and was asking what everybody was talking about in reference to Planned Parenthood.
Wow.
Now there's a discussion.
Wow, 9 years old.
9 years old that I was really not prepared to have. But we had it. So I explained to him.
I think it's because they saw the baby. They're talking about babies.
They were talking about everything that's going on in the world of Planned Parenthood and farming, fetal tissue, and all that. And down the street from where we are here in mid-Missouri, there is a Planned Parenthood clinic. And since all of this came to light, the protesters who've always been out there are a bit thicker. So at 9 years old, I was having a very open, yet, how do I say this, not as graphic a discussion. He gets it, he drives past, sees the protesters, sees the pictures that they have out there, but I was trying to explain to him that nobody was happy because this group of people are allegedly
harvesting, or
selling aborted fetuses or their tissue for money. And it was interesting because he's watching the debate or listening to the debate, hears them talking about that in common, but then at the same time hears these people having an argument. He says, well, why are they arguing? And I said, it's interesting you bring that up because they're all very passionate about the same thing, but they have different ways of showing it and different ways they want to take action.
Right.
And at 9 years old, he is neck deep in it and understanding it. And his brother is going to be voting in his first election next year. He'll be 18.
Wow, that is so exciting.
So there's a lot of interesting things going on in my house, having these conversations.
That's very good.
That are so darn complicated.
It is complicated.
It really is.
But I think it's really to me, I see hope that for the next generation, if we start now like this kind of conversation and we can get people to join in, and because it's so important, and educated citizenry, the voting population, I think it's important. We just don't take in what we can get from this country, but we have to give back. We have to engage. We have to help out. We are in trouble right now. The world is in trouble. So we can't do this alone, you and me. And so when I see people that are wanting to join or listening or giving feedback, I think, to me that is so important. So.
And one of the things I heard that was very common last night, Marge, and you touched on it in high overview, is everybody shared the fact that we are not okay. Everybody shared the fact that things have been bad, and they have been bad for a long time, and they've been getting progressively worse. And everybody shared last night that they have the solution to a problem. And that's really where the similarities stopped. And things turned into a relatively animated debate, which I have to say was probably one of the most entertaining pieces I saw.
Yeah.
The businessman that I am a staunch supporter of, I thought put on a pretty interesting show last night.
From the very start, right? The very first question, right?
Gosh. Donald Trump.
Do you have to pledge, not to,
Yeah, he didn't want to pledge.
Right.
He was picked on a bit about, pick a side, Republican or Democrat, or I may run to be an independent. But I think that makes something extremely clear to me, just when I touched on that piece right there. I mentioned before that this is the world's toughest job interview.
It is.
And if you're looking at a presidential election in the office of President of the United States as a business position, this is the world's toughest job.
Like what you explained from our last video, right?
Right. It doesn't matter if you're a political, or if you're, a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, don't care. It is the best person for the job. So I don't think he should have to pledge to a particular candidate, or to a particular party, or to a particular angle. He was the best person for the job, and he was going to get the job done. And I think that action spoke to that very loudly.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think what people didn't like about it is this using the leverage. We are, I think, pretty much sure that if he run as an independent, that we're gonna hand the presidency to Hillary Clinton if she was the nominee.
Sure.
And so this is what people are really concerned about, and what's the negative perception or the negative response to it. When he didn't want to pledge.
Well, that's the challenge. If you're looking at this, if you're looking at the presidential election as a game of chess, by putting that third person in there, you're basically diluting the voting pool. Because you're going to have some people who are going to vote right down the party lines, and everybody who is in favor for Hillary is going to continue to vote for her, but then you're going to have others that are going to be splitting their side of the house between, say, Donald Trump and another candidate. And you're right, that risk is certainly there.
Right.
So this is a tough one.
This
really is, because again, I want the right person for the job, and Hillary right now, barring anything unforeseen, is going to be the nominee.
And when we talk about the right person, who is the right person to hold this office? I mean, it's really someone that really understands, not just, what's the legacy. Remember we talked about that concern about serving their party, just their party, but it's supposed to be for everyone. It's supposed to be thinking about the future of our country and the world. And who is this person? So, I don't know. I know you're pretty much focus and zero in on a business, right? But will you have an open mind, and as we keep going?
I'm going to still stick to my guns when I say that the right person for this job is going to be somebody who has business sense.
Right.
To get anybody out of any kind of a financial hole, to take us out of the owing everything to China or being owned by China, to turn us around economically, giving real jobs, real health care, putting together real anti-nuclear programs that are going to benefit the country. I feel you still need a business person to do that.
I agree with that. But in addition to that, I also want someone with a strong character, with compassionate, and you know, really as a whole, you know, well-rounded. But where do we get that? I mean, you know, it's someone, of course, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And so, I don't know. I have an open mind, and you know, I have to tell you, I am an registered independent, so
I have not registered. Let me back up. I am registered, but I will not say what.
You're not going to wait until 92, right?
I am not. Wow, no, I'm not going to wait till I'm 92 years old to vote for the first time. You know something? That was a candidate. It was Donald Trump being.
I know. It's inspiring
a 92-year-old woman to vote for the first time in her life.
That's pretty exciting. I'm excited for her.
And I'll tell you, I have taken. I've had times before where I have voted and I have to go way back, but originally I registered to vote as a Republican.
Right.
And the interesting part is I have found myself different times voting for who I think the best person is for the job. Now, I won't tell you how many times I've voted because I like my age to stay in limbo.
There you go.
Stay in limbo here a little bit.
Yes.
But there's been times I've voted for a Democrat. There's been times I've voted for Republicans, and then there's been times I've gone none of the above.
So I'm pretty good then. So we can have continue our conversation on brainstorming for the next president of the United States.
I am excited to see who's going to be sitting in that White House.
Well, yeah, for last night when I was really, you know, I focus on it, I really stick, you know, with it, and I like Marco Rubio, and there's another one, John Kasich.
Okay.
Out of this debate, these are the two people that I sense, you know, for some reason they just, you know, their message is really their focus. And I think they were very effective in the way they presented themselves and their ideas as well. So, but it could change, you know. So as we keep moving forward with this debate, as we get closer and closer to the election, we're gonna narrow down. And this conversation, that's why this conversation is pretty exciting.
It is. I have to agree. Rubio pleasantly surprised me last night.
Right.
I was extremely pleased with, especially towards the latter half of the debate, when he was talking about how blessed he was and religion was being brought into the equation. I thought he did an amazing job last night. I think he could have had more of an opportunity to speak, but didn't get a ton of time. Of course, I think Donald Trump had some wins. I also think there's some areas of opportunity towards the end. He was asked a question, made the crowd roar and laugh and not necessarily answer the question, but I still think hit a valid point. And then our good friend Carly, who was in the first debate, she was on the...
She's phenomenal.
She was at the small kids table and didn't belong there. And I really would have liked to have seen her on that big.
But it's a great starting point for her to be in a small crowd like that, where she's able to, you know, really articulate and really reintroduce who she is.
And out of a group of 5 people, that was perfect because it wasn't as diluted.